In a quiet corner of an ordinary town, where life usually hummed along with predictable rhythm, a profound silence had taken hold. It was centered on a single, unmoving figure, a sentinel of loyalty, posted at a rusted iron gate. Rain had been falling for what felt like an eternity, a relentless cold drizzle that soaked everything, turning the world a uniform shade of gray. It slicked the asphalt of the empty road and dripped from the tired leaves of the old oak tree overhead. But for this magnificent Siberian husky, the world had shrunk to the length of this street, to the spot where the driveway met the curb. He sat there, a statue carved from fur and heartbreak, his thick coat matted and heavy with water. He didn't move for days. The sun would rise, casting a weak watery light, and he would be there. The moon would take its place, a pale ghost in the cloudy sky, and he remained. His posture never changed, a rigid, hopeful watch. His gaze was locked on the horizon, scanning the empty road for a familiar shape, listening for the specific rumble of an engine he had committed to memory. Cars would pass, their headlights cutting through the gloom, but none of them slowed. None of them were the one. With each passing vehicle, a flicker of something, was it hope, or just a reflex, would stir in his eyes, only to be extinguished moments later, leaving them as dull and gray as the sky above. He didn't eat. Kind souls from the neighborhood, their faces etched with worry, would approach cautiously. They'd leave bowls of food, savory and warm, hoping to tempt him. They'd offer gentle words, their voices soft with pity. But the food would grow cold, soggy with rain, untouched. The water bowl would overflow. He was sustained by something else, a desperate, all-consuming hope that left no room for hunger or thirst. His body grew thinner under the wet fur, but his spirit, tethered to this one spot, refused to yield. He just waited. Waiting was his only purpose now. It was in the steady, shallow rhythm of his breath, visible as faint puffs of mist in the cold air. It was in the tension of his muscles, coiled and ready for a reunion that never came. The story rippled through the neighborhood, a shared, whispered tragedy. From behind curtains and through rain-streaked windows, people watched his vigil. They talked about it over coffee, on phone calls, and in hushed tones over their fences. Everyone in the neighborhood said the same thing. That husky, he's still waiting for them to come back. They remembered the family, they remembered the laughter, the games of fetch in the yard, the car pulling away one final time. And now, they saw the devastating aftermath of that departure, embodied in this one, loyal animal who simply could not understand or would not accept that he had been left behind. His vigil was a silent, powerful accusation and a heartbreaking testament to a love that refused to be forgotten. He once had everything, a life painted in the warm, golden hues of belonging. He had a name, Coda, a sound that meant love, a call that promised a gentle hand or a favorite game. He had a home, a sanctuary of familiar scents and soft places to sleep. More than anything, he had a family. Their laughter was the soundtrack to his days, their presence a constant, comforting warmth. He was a guardian of their joy, a furry shadow to the children, his world revolving around the simple, perfect rhythm of their life together. Every morning was a promise of adventure, every evening a return to the safety of his pack. He believed, with the unwavering faith only a dog can possess, that this was forever. But forever is a fragile thing. One day, the familiar rhythm broke. The air, once filled with laughter, grew heavy with a strange, quiet tension. Boxes appeared, monuments to a change he couldn't comprehend. The usual morning walk was forgotten. His gentle nudges for attention were met with distracted, fleeting pats. He watched them, his intelligent eyes searching their faces for an explanation, for the familiar spark of affection. But he found only hurried movements and averted gazes. They were packing their things, dismantling the life he knew piece by piece. And as they moved towards the door, a cold dread began to seep into his heart. They were leaving, and they were not taking him. The car door slammed shut, a sound that echoed like a gunshot in the sudden silence. And then they drove away. A primal panic surged through him, overriding everything but a single desperate instinct. Follow. He ran. He chased the car with every ounce of strength in his powerful body, his paws pounding against the unforgiving asphalt. He was a blur of fur and desperation, his lungs burning, his heart hammering against his ribs. He howled, a raw, mournful cry torn from the depths of his soul, a plea sent into the wind, begging them to remember, to stop, to come back. He chased until the road scraped his paws raw, leaving faint, bloody traces of his devotion on the pavement. But the car never slowed. It crested a hill, a final, fleeting silhouette against the graying sky, and then it was gone. He skidded to a halt, his body trembling with exhaustion and disbelief. The roar of the engine faded, replaced by the sound of his own ragged breath. And then, nothing. Just a profound, crushing silence that swallowed his howls and his hope. The world, once so vibrant, was now just an empty road stretching into nowhere. He was alone. He didn't know where else to go, so he went back to the house that was no longer a home. He waited on the porch, a faithful sentinel guarding an empty kingdom. He curled himself into a tight ball against the cold, his nose tucked beside the damp, frayed toy the children had left behind. It was the last piece of them he had, the last scent of his stolen life. The rain began to fall, each drop a cold reminder of his solitude. Days bled into nights. The porch light flickered, a dying star in his lonely universe. He watched the cars that passed, his head lifting with a spark of hope at every similar-sounding engine, only to drop it again as the vehicle sped by, a fresh wave of disappointment washing over him. He waited for the familiar turn into the driveway, for the sound of the key in the lock, for the door to open and reveal the faces he loved. He waited, because waiting was all he had left to do. Days turned into weeks, hunger, cold, loneliness, but he refused to leave that gate, because loyalty doesn't quit, even when love does. Until one stranger stopped. She saw pain in his eyes, but also something else, hope. For the first time in months, he felt warmth, not from the sun, but from kindness. The journey home is often the longest part of any rescue. It's a silent, uncertain space between a painful past and a possible future. For Kai, every mile was a question mark. He had been in a car before, and it had led him to the loneliest place on earth. He sat perfectly still, a statue carved from fear and hope, watching the world blur by. His rescuer didn't push or pry. She just drove, the quiet hum of the engine a steady promise. She had laid a blanket down for him, a simple gesture, but for a dog who had known only cold concrete and damp earth, it was a profound act of kindness. He could feel its softness beneath his paws, a comfort so foreign it was almost startling. This wasn't a transaction. It was an invitation. An invitation to believe, just one more time, that a human hand could offer safety. When the car stopped, it wasn't at a shelter or another desolate roadside. It was a home. The front door opened not to a cage, but to a warm, quiet space filled with the scent of life. He stood at the threshold, one paw hovering, caught between the familiar misery of the outside world and the terrifying hope of what lay within. Every instinct screamed at him to retreat, to return to the survival he understood. But something stronger, a flicker of trust he thought was long extinguished, pulled him forward. He took a step, then another, his claws making a soft, clicking sound on the wooden floor. He explored not with curiosity, but with caution, mapping out corners and escape routes, his body low to the ground. He found a quiet spot by the hearth, curled into the tightest ball he could manage, and watched. He was waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the kindness to reveal its price. But the hours passed, and all that came was quiet companionship and a bowl of fresh water, placed gently a few feet away. The first bath was a battle of wills. The water, the confinement, the touch. It was all too much. He trembled, a low growl rumbling in his chest, a desperate plea to be left alone in his filth. It was all he had left of his old life. But her hands were patient. They didn't scrub or force. They soothed. She spoke to him in a low, calm voice, telling him he was a good boy, that he was safe. Slowly, painstakingly, the layers of neglect were washed away. The grime of the streets, the mud from the ditches, the scent of fear and loneliness, it all swirled down the drain. And as the warm water sluiced through his coat, something else began to wash away too, the armor he had built around his heart. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, he felt clean, felt cared for. Love didn't just feed him, it healed him. With every passing day, the evidence of that healing became more visible. The change began from the inside out. Consistent, nutritious meals began to fill the hollows in his brain. to shed its sorrow. Brushing became a daily ritual, a quiet meditation on care. At first he flinched at the pull of the brush on his matted fur, but soon he learned to lean into it, to trust the gentle tug and release. He would close his eyes, a soft sigh escaping his lips, as the dead weight of his past was brushed away, making room for the new. His fur grew thick again, a magnificent silver and white cloak worthy of his noble breed. His eyes, once clouded with despair and suspicion, began to clear. The light returned to them, first as a spark, then as a steady, brilliant flame. His eyes brightened, reflecting the love that now surrounded him. The visit to the veterinarian was another test of his newfound trust. The sterile smells, the presence of strangers, the memory of past prodding and pain. He pressed against his human's leg, a silent plea for protection. But she was his anchor. She knelt beside him, her hand never leaving his back, her voice a constant, reassuring murmur. The vet was kind and slow, understanding that the deepest wounds weren't visible on an X-ray. They were wounds of the soul. The checkup confirmed what his rescuer already knew. He was underweight, he had minor scrapes and infections, but his spirit miraculously was intact. He endured the shots and the examination with a quiet dignity that was heartbreaking. He was learning a critical lesson, one that would redefine his world. He finally learned, not all humans leave. Some stay, some heal. The milestones of his recovery were small, but monumental. The day he finally chose to sleep on the soft bed she'd bought for him, instead of the cold, hard floor by the door. The first time his tail didn't just flicker, but gave a full, sweeping wag that shook his entire body. The first time he brought her a toy, a tentative offering, an invitation to play. Each moment was a victory, a testament to his resilience. He was rediscovering the simple joys of being a dog, joys that had been stolen from him. The pleasure of a full belly, the safety of a warm bed, the comfort of a predictable routine. He was learning the language of home, a language spoken not in words, but in quiet moments of trust and shared existence. And then, one sunny afternoon, the transformation was complete. She knelt in the yard, calling his name, and he ran. He didn't trot, he didn't hesitate. He flew. It was a run of pure, unadulterated joy, a celebration of his reclaimed life. The ghost of the starving dog on the roadside was gone, replaced by this magnificent creature, powerful and free. He was abandoned, but never broken. His spirit had been waiting, dormant, for a reason to ignite again. In that moment, as he crashed into her arms, covering her in happy licks, the past was finally laid to rest. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was thriving. He waited for love, and it found him again. It found him in the darkness, and led him back into the light. It pieced him back together, one gentle touch, one kind word, one shared sunset at a time. His story is a powerful reminder that the capacity for love and loyalty in these animals is a wellspring that never runs dry. It can be buried under layers of fear, pain, and neglect, but it is never truly extinguished. Because loyalty never dies, it just waits for the right heart to return. It waits for a soul brave enough to see past the broken exterior and recognize the unwavering devotion that lies beneath. In rescuing him, she had, in many ways, rescued a part of herself. He taught her the true meaning of resilience, the quiet power of forgiveness, and the profound beauty of second chances. Their bond was forged not in perfection, but in shared vulnerability. He showed his scars, and she showed him hers, and together, they found a way to heal. Looking at him now, a king in his new kingdom, it's clear that some souls are put on this earth for a higher purpose. They are here to be our teachers, our guides, our furry four-legged consciences. Some souls were made to remind us what real love looks like. A little kindness can change a life. Support animal rescue.